Again, let us do a response to a YouTube short. One short per video in this series to keep them as short as possible. Let us see what they have to say.
For we know that it is by grace that we are saved, after all we can do. Many people interpret this verse to mean that Christ's saving grace is secondary to our own works. Is that what this verse is really saying? And is that what Latter-day Saints actually believe?
Yes. Salvation is a gift, but we must do our part. When the Lord said that it is by grace we are saved, after all we can do, it means that we must perform to the best of our ability, and then God's grace will complete the rest. Men are saved by grace, but that grace comes only after they have done all they can do, which includes keeping the commandments and living the gospel principles. We can only receive salvation through Christ, but we are to do our part. When we read that we're saved by grace after all we can do, we must understand that our actions and obedience are necessary to receive grace.
You know, I get really annoyed when people say, oh, do we believe? Yes, you believe that. Don't tell me what I believe. You got no clue what you're talking about. Now, it is true, first of all, that yes, we have to do our part. Christ himself states multiple times in the New Testament that when he returns, he is going to reward everyone according to their works. Not according to his works, not according to their faith, not according to his grace, but according to their works. So yes, we have to do our part. The problem here comes is because most Christians, when they hear salvation, they think there's heaven and there's hell, and that's it. There's a dichotomy. You have one choice or the other. There's nothing else. That's not what we believe. That's not what the Bible teaches, really. There is glory and there is darkness. That dichotomy exists. And through the grace of God, everyone is brought out of darkness and into glory, except those who actively reject his grace. Then they get cast into darkness. But let's not talk about them. Let's talk about the rest. So like 95% of everyone born on this earth, through the grace of God, enters glory. The question is, what level of glory will you have? What amount? What percentage, you might say? Are you going to be 100% glory? Or are you going to be 10% glory? Maybe 50%? Are you going to be all glory or just partial glory? That is where our works come in. The grace of God brings us into glory. And then, as Christ states, he judges every man according to their works, and according to their works, he rewards them a level of glory. Now, when we speak of salvation as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we aren't talking about just glory. We're talking about the highest glory, exaltation. And the only way to get to exaltation is to do the will of the Father, to gain salvation in this way, in this sense. We must be baptized. We must receive all priesthood ordinances. We must be married. This is what salvation means to us. This is the kingdom of heaven. The celestial glory is the kingdom of heaven, and the exaltation is the highest level in that kingdom, and that is what we strive for. We don't want to just avoid the darkness. We don't want to just enter glory. We want the highest that God is offering. And to gain that requires our participation, requires our own efforts. This is not secondary to Christ's grace, to what he did. He enables all of it. Because in the very beginning, the first thing that we need to be able to get into glory. We can't get the highest glory if we're not in glory. If we don't have some glory, we can never get the highest glory. Without the atonement, everyone is damned to hell. It doesn't matter what we do. Nothing we do can get us out of hell. Christ comes, saves us from hell first. Then, once we are saved from hell, we can act. It is not until after we have been saved from hell that our actions can have any meaning. But what level of glory we attain to is dependent on us. Through the grace of God, but it is still dependent on us.